Hello boxing fans, and welcome to another EBN prediction. Today we're going to talk about the Russian WBA interim cruiserweight champion Denis Lebedev versus Shawn Cox, the WBC Caribbean Boxing Federation heavyweight champion, and now fighting as a cruiserweight. So let's see where these guys from. Obviously one, Lebedev we know is from Russia. If you didn't already know, Cox is actually from Barbados, the lucky fucker. Anyway, let's looking at their records and some of their attributes. Yeah, we've got Denis Lebedev, the interim champion, standing at 5'11" tall. He is rated as the number 3 cruiserweight in the world, and he has a record of 23 wins, 17 by way of knockout, to just a single defeat by way of unanimous decision against Marco Huck, and that was a very controversial decision in Germany, and we all know what Germany's like when it comes to decisions, don't we just? We do. Moving on to his Barbadian opponent, and that is the correct term, did you know? Right, he is 6 foot 1 inch tall. He has fought at both cruiserweight and heavyweight, gaining a record of 16 wins, 15 by way of knockout, to just a single defeat by unanimous decision. However, I'm going to point this out right now, the level of opposition has been less than spectacular. I'm just saying, it's true. Looking at the boxer's attributes, firstly we've got Denis Lebedev. He's a great boxer. No, he's a good boxer, I'm not going to lie. He's a boxer puncher. He can box to an extent, and he can bang. He can bang them all out, I'll tell you that. He's been gaining a rep as the legend killer most recently, beating such legends we all know, such as Roy Jones Jr. by knockout, James Toney by unanimous decision, and Enzo Maccarinelli by way of knockout. And Cox, you know, he's a still up and coming contender. You've got to give the man credit. He's doing well. He's had his fights. He's won most of them, lost one. That's not bad. You know, what else can we say about him? He's being given a shot at the big time right here, and Cox needs to grasp it with both hands. Can't believe I've just said that. Yeah, anyway, going to go into the attributes. And firstly, looking at the power. Both of these guys have an equal amount of power. You see, Denis Lebedev, he knows what he can do. He's been there, seen it and done it from the bottom to the top level. He knows how to get the knockout. He knows when he needs to get the knockout, and he knows how to just box and look for the knockout if it comes up. However, his opponent, who has stopped 15 out of 16, he also knows he can bang. In fact, his main game is the fact that he's going to try and outpower most of the people he comes up against, and it's only not worked one time in a fight that he's won, and one time in a fight that he's lost. The question is, what if Cox is fighting Lebedev toe to toe, and Lebedev takes his best shot and comes back smiling? It's going to be heartbreak for the man. So you've got to think about these things. Moving on to the speed, I would say Lebedev has a slight advantage on speed, mostly because he's going to weigh in less on fight night than his opponent. But they both have decent hand speed, which adds to their KO power through the sheer speed and shock through power. However, Cox has been known to telegraph his punches. I'd advise you to search Shawn Cox in the toolbar above, and what you'll see on some of the videos is you can see a few of those punches coming a long way away before they land. You know, you might even say you've got time to go and get something to eat before the punch travels halfway around the arena, and then you can come back and duck it and then counter him. He's gonna have to think about that. He cannot telegraph his big punches in this fight against Lebedev, who will make him pay for it. Talking movement now, I would say Lebedev has got the better movement, but this is not exactly a division known for its brilliant movement. It's not a necessity in this division. Technique, I would say Cox has got the better technique. He can switch from southpaw to orthodox and vice versa, which may throw his opponents off guard, but Lebedev has got more experience than Cox, and he may be able to deal with that kind of stuff. Going back into experience now, like I said, Lebedev has fought at a much higher level than Cox, You know, he's thought of as probably one of the best, if not the best, cruiserweight in the world, other than Hook, who he's unofficially beat. Whereas when you look at it, you know, you got to look at Cox and say this is his first real big step up in boxing. You know, he stepped up to European level once before, and he travelled to Italy for a fight with some guy, and he had a similar record to Cox, but you know, he lost that fight to it by a unanimous decision, and he lost it by a 6-round margin, which, you know, that's quite a lot, especially in a boxing match. So it shows he didn't actually go in there with a plan B. So does he have the quality to fight at this level? Well, I'm not sure, but I think we will find out, you know, when he fights Lebedev. You got to look at the losses too. I'm going to look at the losses, both losses right now. You know, firstly, Cox did lose in Italy. Sometimes people get a bit of an unfair shout in Italy, but that wasn't the case in this one. It definitely wasn't. It's just that Cox went in there to try and blast his opponents clean out the ring, but it didn't work. You can't knock everyone out. It's an unfortunate truth, but sometime or another you will find someone who's just got an iron chin, and this was that type of a day. He just couldn't bang this guy out, and he was getting outboxed along the distance, and he did lose a unanimous decision because he didn't have he had a lack of a plan B. Whereas with Lebedev, you know, he did lose to Marco Hook, but we all know that this wasn't the case in that fight. This was very controversial. I'm a huge Hukic fan, huge fan of Marco Hook, but Marco Hook lost that fight, and I can tell you that straight right now. He lost that fight to Lebedev. It should be Lebedev being the total WBA cruiserweight champion right now, not the interim. So if they both learned from the experience of losing, well, one, we know that Lebedev has he's pretty much said that he cannot allow it to go the distance anymore, or he's got to win each round very well, you know, to finish the fight inside the distance, or risk the chance of a robbery, because this is the modern game, you know. Don't be foolish. We all know this, man, that in the modern day, the man with the biggest wallet never loses. Never loses. There's always a reason that the man with the biggest wallet will find a way to win, inside or outside of the ring, unfortunately. And, you know, Cox, I think he's had to realise that he's got to come in with a backup plan. If plan A doesn't go right, he's got to have a plan B, maybe a plan C, D, E, F and G. So anyway, this is it now. I'm just going to tell you how I think the fight will go. Well, you see, I don't see it going the distance. Both of these guys have got enough in their firepower to suggest this is going to be an early night for someone. And this fight will not be a fight for the purists. If you want to see the purists, you have to wait until Mayweather fights. If you want to see a real bash-up, I suggest you get a stream off me to watch this fight tomorrow. You see, both of these guys will have a game plan, and it's going to be to go in there and bang each other clean out. However, I do expect that Lebedev will have at least a plan B and maybe a plan C. I'm not so sure about Cox, but I would hope that he's ready to have a plan B and maybe C if it comes down to it. I'm not going to lie to you. I expect a knockout. I expect pure power punches from the opening bell, ending when one of them hits the floor. You see, I expect Lebedev to win this by knockout in the middle to late rounds, just because of his experience and the fact that he's been there, seen it and done it. Thanks for listening. If you want a link to this fight, visit the Twitter page or the Facebook page below, or email me on the YouTube site and I'll send you an email straight back.